so much for being with us today. My dad would have loved to see so many of his friends and family out here, and he would have been tickled to have 2 priests celebrating his Mass. And I know after church he'd be going on and on about Joyce Lennon singing Ave Maria, which he loved. So thank you, Joyce, for doing that. And the whole Resurrection Choir, he would be thrilled. I wasn't sure for a while whether I should get up here and try to talk about Dad or let someone else do it. But then I thought, I can't not talk about my dad. The last few days we've shared lots of laughs and tears and remembrances about him. And I hope to give you a glimpse of who he was to our family and to me. I've tried to gather the right stories and the right memories, the right words that would portray my father. Bill O'Malley was a true gentleman, kind, sensitive, interested in what was happening in people's lives, loyal, a man of faith, and a wonderful provider. Many people have mentioned that he was always very complimentary, and he really was. He was always having something kind to say about someone, or compliment the way they looked or the way they sang. It is impossible to talk about Dad without mentioning Mom, who together for 56 years provided a loving and a faith-filled home and a wonderful example of what it is to be parents and loving examples for their children. Dad was born a lefty, but when he was in school, he was forced to become a righty, which caused him to have a severe stutter. He spent years in speech therapy to overcome the stuttering and memorized poetry as a way to correct the stuttering. So over the years, often when a memory would pop in his mind, he'd break into poetry. So for instance, if he saw spring daffodils, it would prompt him to recite part of William Wordsworth's poem, I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Dad was always helpful. Way back, we heard all the time about when they lived in their 3rd floor walk-up apartment in Chicago, that he would come home from work and Mom would hand him a pail of diapers, and he would go down to the basement to the washing machine to do the wash. And so from the very start of their marriage, he was always a helper, and he was always helping us and helping people, and oftentimes we would try not to have his help because we knew if Dad helped, we could count on at least twice the amount of time to accomplish the task because of his precision and care in doing everything. Dad loved to eat. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he called them the 3 squares. And I think that Dad maintained his slender build over all the years because he ate so slowly. Breakfast could almost turn into lunch with Dad. He loved roast beef and mashed potatoes, canned spaghetti rather than non-spaghetti. I don't understand why. Dunking cookies and milk. He loved red cabbage, ice cream, and any kind of dessert. We all recall annual vacations when we rented a cottage in Michigan or Indiana along the Lake Michigan shore, packing all 9 of us in the Rambler station wagon with a canoe on top to hold the luggage. It was quite a sight. And then we always talk in particular about one vacation when the kids were limited to share a pillowcase. So 2 of us had to share it because there were so many people and things going to the car. So each of us were told, you 2 share a pillowcase, you 2 share a pillowcase, and then Dad came out with his suitcases. With his yellow pants and yellow shoes, and his blue pants and his blue shoes. He was always a very dapper dresser. Dad loved to drive and missed it terribly when he could no longer drive the car. He loved Chicago, especially the lake. He loved the lakefront. He loved coming up to Lake Geneva with us. He loved puffy clouds and a blue sky, bike riding, reading the paper, singing and dancing, especially to Wayne King waltz music. He loved to reminisce about the old days on Mozart Street with his parents, and he always was tearful talking about his parents. He was a very faithful man, and his father mentioned, a parishioner here for over 50 years. Dad did not finish college himself, but it was always understood that all of us would go to college, and he was extremely proud of the fact that all 7 of his children graduated from college and some had education beyond college. He was a banker, a saver first, and always very careful with money. Years ago, Sears mistakenly installed a 75-gallon water heater in my house, and he had only ordered a 40-gallon water heater. So when he called Sears to tell him about the mistake, they said, "That's all right, you can keep it, we won't charge you the difference." He said, "Oh no, I don't want to pay for that water being heated in the 75-gallon water heater." So they did come to change it. The family of mine probably needed a 75-gallon water heater. He always advised us, pay yourself first, don't spend what you don't have, live within your means, and pay off your credit cards every month. After my first year of teaching, I was contemplating moving into an apartment with a friend of mine. And as I was in the process of making the search, Dad would come into my bedroom early in the morning. I mean, I was still in bed, and he'd come in early in the morning, giving me all the reasons why I shouldn't do this. Why do you want to leave this beautiful home? You could save money. You're so close to work. And his last words each day would be, "You're committing financial suicide." I did ultimately take his advice and stayed at home, and my school district went on strike that fall, so it worked out very nicely. I didn't have to worry about that when I was out of work for a while. Dad was meticulous and deliberate in all he did, and as we all do, he had little quirks that we will always remember. I don't recall that Dad always moved quite as slowly and deliberately as he did in recent years, but that is how I will remember him, holding up his hand to stop you if you tried to do something to hurry him along, stacking his gloves precisely on top of his cap, emptying the dishwasher one piece by one piece, making sure there was syrup in each waffle square, leaving a space in his closet between his hanging clothes, and sorting socks by color in his drawer. He kept receipts from the dry cleaners in the pockets of his suit so he'd know when the last time was that it was cleaned. Since Mom was the driver, when she was backing the car out of the garage, she would stand at the end of the driveway, and when she got down to the end of the driveway, she'd hear on the trunk. So she'd know it was time to stop to let him get in the car. When one of us went up to the attic, Dad would wait patiently at the bottom of the stairs with a rag to wipe off the bottom of our shoes so we wouldn't track the dust from the attic down to the rest of the house. He was very proud of his home, and neighbors often saw him out studying and surveying his property and looking over everything. He loved greeting the kids on their way to school and the neighbors. He was kind of like the Ashland Avenue ambassador. Recently, they had a new roof put on the house, and my husband happened to be at the house when it was going on, and Dad was out there with his monocular, standing, inspecting the work that the roofers were doing. Another frequent quote was from a favorite poem called Invictus, and two lines that he would often repeat: "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." Very sage advice for all of us. Dad taught all of us. One final lesson with his sudden departure: cherish every moment with those you love. You never know when those moments will cease to exist. I feel blessed to have had Dad for my father for 55 years. That is one of the gifts of being the oldest in the family, having the most time with your parents. Thank you, Dad, for being you. Not perfect, but perfectly yourself. Keep watch over us as you always have, and may the peace of the Lord be with you and with us until we meet again.
Grandpa always wore an expression of pride as he took in the bustle of our O'Malley family parties, and his timely comments brought us laughter. I've never met a man who could pack such a punch into his one-liners or take over an hour to finish his sandwich. A high-pitched laughter only seemed to surface when he was in the presence of dogs or young children. He also had a dynamite wardrobe, and Grandpa, I'll try my best to work my way up to that. As we've come to terms with his passing, memories of Grandpa have flooded forth and been shared with family and friends. Leaving your mark is a notion that is visited at times of death, and our stories evidence Grandpa's lasting effect on us. I will remember that smile of his at the family parties. It is a comforting image.
Grandpa, I loved when you held me when I was a baby. At my 6th birthday party, we partied like no tomorrow. At my communion party, you looked so happy and proud. At Christmas, when you and Grandma gave me that snow globe, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Then at Grandparents' Day, when I saw you last, I kept asking my friend Kylie if I can borrow her headband so I can show off my new bangs. I had a bad hair day. Now you're gone, I'm thinking of you a lot. I look at your pictures every day. I'll miss your hugs the most. Have a good time in heaven. Love, Madeline.